Coach, we've just talked to 8 seniors that are all fairly emotional about their final home game. What's your message going into their final home game to them?
Well, last night I talked to them all, before the end of their last week, because we've got some events planned for them and their families on Friday night and some things that come up on Saturday for them. I always tell them thanks. I know it's a small group, but you got guys like Connor Hollaball and Alex Olson and Will Tolliver and a guy like Devontae Merriweather, that had a bunch of other schools that he could have gone to, decided to go play at, and he wanted to come here and he enjoyed it. And like when Devontae talks about, the thing he's going to miss most, and remember the most is the coaches and the people and things like that. I think that's what, I tell the seniors all the time, one, this is always your school, it's always your football program, you're always welcome. But I think the thing they got to know is that's the toughest thing for them is that they did have an impact. A guy like Alex Olson, if there's a guy in our football program that doesn't know what hard work is from Alex and what it's like to be dedicated and be part of a team, or a guy like Cardinal Hollaball that had to come in here and fight for a job and wait for his turn, for Sergio to graduate and then be ready to win the job when he did. I mean, those guys are what a college football player really is all about. It's just, some of it's biding your time, and then some of it's being ready for your moment and then taking it over. And then a guy like Austin Carson, hopefully I'm going to be nice to Austin. We all should be, because he's going to be a DPS officer, so he's probably going to be pulling all of us over at some point in time in our careers. So, but, a guy like Austin, knock on wood, he's got 2 games here to play and hasn't missed a start. He's dedicated to the team, is always around, just a good character guy. And, we've told him from the first time he got here, we're always going to try to out-recruit him and get a better player, and we've never been able to do it. And so it's fun to get a guy like Austin Carson, and watch him just mature and become a great guy.
Talk a little bit about your defense from Saturday. You guys played outstanding in the second half. Didn't give up an offensive touchdown, only 1 field goal.
Yeah, they really did. And that was the thing. The third quarter was outstanding for them in the third quarter. I think there was, unfortunately for offensively, we didn't play well after that. I mean, there was five or six possessions in the third quarter where they held them and kept them out of the end zone, held them to field goals, and I was real pleased with our defense. Our defensive kids are playing fantastic right now, and hopefully we can keep it up for a couple more weeks.
Okay, so we talked about what your message is to your seniors, but what does this senior group necessarily mean to you?
Well, this was really the first group, 4 years ago, when we kind of inherited the program and we took it back over after Dustin and that class had all left. They were all young guys, and so, to me, it's a small group, but it's a group of guys that have been really consistent. They've been consistent in their work ethic. They've been consistent in what they've meant to the team. And, for those guys, just being able to persevere and stay around. A guy like Tevin Creeks, Creeks was pretty much kind of out of the business. He needed a place to come and play. And I had a good friend of mine that, from Sam Houston that called me and said, hey, you need to take a look at this guy. He needs a shot. And we brought him in, and he's been, a great guy to have around on the team. And so for me, I always tell him thanks, because it's a hard role to be a senior. A lot's on it. And it's also the deal of, you got a guy like Chris Gilchrist that ends up being a role player. He's not an every down player. He's got to come in, he's got to play and serve his role. Well, he's got to be happy in that role, and then you go all the way to a guy like Devon Pay, where you're going to tell him you got to carry the ball 35 times a night for us to have a chance to win. And so, their mindset has to be different in how they carry themselves in the locker room and what they do and what they say. And so, and it's tough because the senior always wants to be the starter and they want to be the guy with the headlines all the time, and it doesn't always work that way. And so, every senior's kind of contribution is always different, but I also want to tell them thanks.
So what about Angelo? I mean, what do they do? They're coming in, to Kimbrough. What do they do?
Shoot, really, Angelo is I think they're a really underrated football team. Their defense is fantastic. They got a front four that is athletic. They're a different built front four. They're probably more like Tarleton that we saw earlier in the year. They're a speed-based team. And so they've got some 6'5", 6'6" kids that are a little light, but they run all over the place, and they're getting after it. They're real aggressive. They're back in. Their skill positions are pretty much all the same kids we've seen the last couple seasons. And so their receiver core is fantastic. They've got 2 great running backs. Their offensive line's really good. I think they're kind of in the same boat after we lost Dustin. When Dustin graduated and Taylor and Keith and those guys graduate, you invest so much time in that quarterback position. Kind of like they did with Kyle. Now they got to find the next guy to be the one in charge. And I think once they figure that out, they're going to be a really good football team, because I think that's just kind of where they're searching right now, because they've been in every ball game except a couple. And so We're expecting a really good team. I think it's just tough on travel schedule. You know, they got to go to Silver City and then they got to come here, and so that's going to be a little bit of an advantage for us just in time. But talent-wise, they're well coached and they've got some good players.
This will be a win. Would mark 12 straight. I think, Kit, 12 straight winning seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you stress that?
No, we did. We talked about that at the beginning of the year. You know,
Yeah.
that's one of your number one goals. You know, you want to make sure you have a winning season. You know, I try to advance. You know, want to win the Lone Star Conference, want to get into the playoffs and win a couple playoff games, and have a winning record at home. And so this is a big game for our program. You know, I think that's something that's hard to do in college football, is to have that consistency and keep doing it. And so our seniors and our whole team always knows that.
Coming off a game where you guys kind of struggled to run the ball, how important will it be to establish the run early?
Well, I think that was the toughest thing going into the game Saturday, was we weren't able to do that versus some of the run boxes that we've been able to get, which that's always hard to do. You know, I mean, once you get that run box and you define it and you see the picture, you've got to be able to execute those plays, and we weren't able to do that. We got to get that going again for sure.
With all the turnovers, is that something that's coachable? Is it just rare people in the right spot at the right time?
Well, a couple of it's just bad positions at one position group, you know, and some of it's just sloppy ball handling more than everything else. So some of it is coachable, you know. It's when it's bad decisions with the football at the quarterback position, that's simple, that's coachable, that's making some solid reads and understanding where you're at, and trying to understand too, you know, you can't force a play. And there was a couple looks that Ben got that, you know, he probably had never ever seen. You know, he saw some coverages the other night that I'm almost 100% positive never saw when he played at Canadian. And so, I mean, it's one of those things, he's just got to grow and work through it.
So does that mean Ben will be the quarterback moving forward? Or?
Well, we'll see. You know, he looked good yesterday at practice, but we've got some issues to look at, so we'll see where we're at.
Running around at practice well?
He ran around well yesterday at practice, but we'll find out.
Is there still bowl opportunities? Do they still do
I think so, yeah. There is
Okay.
some opportunities out there for us, and then just to see how the region falls apart. You know, there's some things out there that have to really go crazy for us right now, and we got to win, so we'll see.
Okay.